Alright, so let's look at the villain cards. So first of all, we're going to have a bunch of just generic cards that are going to be in the villain decks regardless of who you play. So we have 3 copies of Dodge, which says instant. Play this card after a villain figure has suffered at least 1 wound from an attack. Roll 1 battle die per wound the figure has suffered, then reduce the wounds by 1 for each block or double hit. Do not roll battle dice for a figure that exceeds the remaining life of the figure. And then when discarded, pay 1 focus to add this card to the discard pile or remove it from the game. So you play it and then you can either pay as a villain. So if you're playing, these cards are all as if you're playing competitive. So there's a human player controlling the bad guy. So you can, on your turn, this is one action you could perform. You could throw this in there to prevent some, and then when it's going to the discard pile, either you pay a focus to add it back in, or you have to get rid of it. Then we have Regroup. Get 1 copy of that. It says 1 play, shuffle this card, the villain deck, and the villain discard pile together to draw a new villain deck. Afterwards, draw 1 card and play another, regain 1 focus. So this is when your deck eventually runs out. This is, at some point you're going to draw this and you gotta reshuffle it. So if you draw it like 2 cards left in the deck, you went through most of your deck. You draw 10 cards into the deck, an example, you get reshuffle a couple of cards you just used and start over. So it's kind of, whenever you play it, you get to use it. Whenever you think you want to reshuffle it. 2 copies of Right Back At Ya, which is another instant. Play this card after an enemy figure attacks a villain figure. Again, you're playing the bad guys, so the good guys are your enemies. Before wounds are dealt, the attack figure makes an attack of the same power, rolling the same amount of battle dice back at the enemy figure's attack. When discarded, pay 2 to add this back in or remove it. Because they're not actual character cards, they kind of get, one time. So we have 2 copies of Take 5. When played, choose a villain figure. That figure regains life equal to the hits rolled on any 3 battle dice. Regain 1 focus. This has any and 2 question marks. Which we'll go over that in just a second here. So it says, you're fired. When played, you may select up to 3 cards from either your hand or discard pile in any combination and remove them from the game. And why would you want to remove cards from the game? So you can get, quote unquote, better cards quicker. Maybe you have a bunch of Henchmen cards or Joker cards or something. Like, I really don't want these cards anymore, so now you can get rid of them. Where is the page that explains? Hero, gadgets, movement, terrain, combat, being a villain. Alright, this is what I wanted to look at here. So, some villain cards also have the option to activate additional villain figures. Cards that activate additional villain figures will have 2 sets of action icons at the bottom instead of just 1 for the named character. Additional figure actions always have a number of figures they can activate and a number of action icons, which are in most cases wild action icons. So that is basically what that's saying is if I play a card like this one, I can activate 1 figure and I get 3 wild icons. So they get excuse me. So they get like 1 attack, 1 movement, 1 defense, 1 range, whatever I need them to have. So now if we start looking at some of the actual villains, and we're going to look at the competitive characters first, and we'll go back through and look at the we'll flip them over quick. So this is the competitive version versus the clubs. It's 4, 1, 4, and then 11 and 7. And so there's just the difference is they have different icons on them. So if I compare Harley Quinn's competitive versus Catwoman's cooperative. So this is the AI one, which I'll refer to it. So they both have movement. They have damage, but this is damage is how many dice you roll versus the AI just straight up does 2 damage. The defense is the shield. You roll die. You roll up to 4 dice for defense. They're just automatically. Excuse me. Automatically blocks 3 damage for the AI. So you don't have to like roll extra dice for a villain. It just blocks 3. So you have to at least roll more than 3 to start damaging them. And then it has 13. She has 13 health versus how much she would normally have. So the other one has 11 with a 7 recovery, but they don't recover if they're AI. There is ways to do it, to pick them back up, but that's a different thing altogether. Then down here on the bottom, they're going to have their target icon. So she's going to do a melee attack against the character with the most amount of focus. And then, like, for example, then Man-Bat will attack the person with the most health. And that's kind of how they do that. So we'll look at their abilities last. We'll just look at this side first, and then we'll go back through and look at Regal through all theirs, because they're going to have different special abilities, which have a lot more on them. The competitive version, where a player's controlling them, don't have as many abilities because they have their deck of cards. And another thing that's going to be different between this game and the Ninja Turtles game is Ninja Turtles game, there were red cards, blue cards, green cards, and then some of the expansions added yellow cards. So depending on which mode you're playing, your characters have a fairly different variety or a lot more duplicates of cards. Plus, they would have an uneven number amount. So sometimes they might have like a total of 7 cards. Another character might have 8. One character might have 4, depending on who they are. Stuff like that. This game, each character gets 3 red cards, 3 blue cards. With, I think, in maybe one of the expansions, like 1 or 2 characters have like one or two more cards or 1 or 2 less cards. But it's like 2 different characters that get that. Everyone else is pretty equal. But they only have the red and blue. So you're either going to be using the red set, the blue set, or both sets. Or again, like in Ninja Turtles, you had a lot more variety coming up. But I also think because they were planning, with that game, they were planning a lot more expansions. Where the Batman series, they're like, we're doing this once, that's it. So they didn't want to have some characters have a third different color. It'd be throwing stuff off. Because they weren't ever planning on making any more Batman regardless, because they only had license to do the one series. Alright, let's jump into this. You have Catwoman, she's unaffiliated, she's going to have the leader ability. So all these characters generally have the leader ability. And that's just because is to say their leader is different than a minion. So if a thing says in the scenario, choose a leader, it's saying basically one of these characters versus like a goon. This Catwoman is going to use the same model figure as the Catwoman we've seen for the hero. We're not going to get 2 different versions of her, unfortunately. Alright, so she says, ahead of the game, during battle, the villain always goes first instead of the heroes. Alright, so she's going to have Cat's Clawing. I'm not going to read through all these bottom ones all the time, but just as for the sake of this first time looking at these, we'll go through them. So she has well active, making melee strikes against adjacent figure. Catwoman treats double hits as triple hits. Oh, it sounds very, very similar to her regular card, to her hero card. So anytime, lots of times if there's a hero and a villain version, they have the same type of abilities. So now if you play this, Catwoman gets to activate. She has 1 movement, 1 melee strike, and 2 melee strikes. And then you can also activate another character for 2 movement. We have Isis. So when played, if Isis is not on the map, place her in an empty space on any edge of the map. And gives Catwoman some random. And we also have Whip. Catwoman may make a melee strike against enemy figures in her line of sight up to 3 spaces away. Her blue cards, she has Distracting, well active. Enemy figures within 2 spaces of Catwoman roll -1 battle die while attacking and defending. When played, regain 1 focus. Lands on her feet, well active. Catwoman is not affected by slow, rough, harmful, and unstable terrain. Additionally, she does not suffer from falling, wounds from falling. And Maven's Friendship. When Catwoman regains life equal to the hits rolled on 2 battle dice and regain 1 focus. And then do I have... a second character card for Isis. So we still have Minion, Creature, Small. So instead of support, it says Minion. It says Meow. Isis is activated by spending additional actions. Does not need to break away. Isis cannot attack or be attacked. Enemy figure sharing space with Isis receive 1 hit, attack -1, or defense block -1. Small figures may share space with any other figure. That's another thing the Turtles game did. It had like Mousers and other small figures. I think Isis is the only small figure in this entire game. I could be wrong. But there we go. Alright, up next we have good old Harley Quinn. She is part of Arkham Asylum. She also has the immune keyword, so she can't be poisoned. At your service. Harley may move up to 2 spaces for free without breaking away as a free action during her turn. So she can just jump around and do whatever the heck she wants. So she has Meet Mr. Smashy. While active, Harley treats double hits as triple hits when making melee strikes. Pop goes to the Batsy. On your turn, Harley may make only a single range strike. It does not weaken for the first 4 spaces. What's on your face? This turn, Harley may move each enemy figure she hits with a melee strike 1 space. Alley-oop. On this turn, Harley does not need to break away from enemy figures. When played, regain 1 focus. Gotcha. Well active. Figures adjacent to Harley counter as 3 figures for breaking away. She's really hard to get away from. And Nighty Night. On this turn, either before or after moving, places Smile X token on all enemy figures, including bystanders adjacent to Harley. She should drop some tokens down. What does a Smile X token do, you may ask? Well, let's look it up quick. Cold, poison, burn, hostage. Alright, Smile X Gas. It's a gas type attack. Description. A figure may become infected with Smile X by a number of abilities. When this happens, the affected figure receives a Smile X early side up token. This figure is the figure type determines the effect of Smile X, and it always triggers at the end of the round. At the end of the round, the Smile X token started. At the end of a round, if the Smile X token started in the round in play, flip it to its late side. So if they get it, you have to wait till the next round. And after the full round, if it's still been there, you flip it over. So player or AI controlled figure effect. When Smile's token flips to the late side, the figure receives one unblockable wound. The Smile's token is already on its late side at the end of the round, and the figure's life is reduced to 0. Can be removed with Inoculate. Bystander effect. If the Smile's token is already on its late side at the end of the round, the bystander succumbs to the Smile's token and the heroes immediately lose the battle. So basically, Smile-ups are really terrible. So, it gets placed on you, then during the next round, if it's on you the entire round, it flips over, and you take 1 damage, and then, if at the end of another round, it's already on its late side, you automatically lose. So you take 1 damage, and then you basically get 3 turns to get rid of it. And if you can't, you're going to lose. Unless it's on a bystander, then they get them 2 turns to get rid of it. Otherwise, you lose the game. Alright. That's pretty bad. Alright, so now we have Man-Bat, who has Giant and Flying. Giant means he counts as multiple spaces. I think he takes up 4 spaces. We didn't look at the miniature for Harley Quinn. I keep forgetting to pull these miniatures. So there's Harley Quinn's miniature. Kind of got that sassiness. She's missing her diamond pattern on her leg. I kind of feel like I got a little unfinished figure, but that's what it is. Here's Man-Bat. So this is also kind of a thing that people had contention about. There's a giant figure, but his base is the same size as the rest of the figures. Versus Ninja Turtles, where they had giant figures like Mousers, the giant Mouser, who actually took up, physically his base took up multiple spots. But I kind of get this, because if I put him on one of the board spaces here, if you stick him in the middle, he actually is going to take up, more than 2 spaces left to right. So if you put him right in the middle, and you kind of turn him sideways, you can see he's going to take up 4 spaces. So, I mean, it's not like they said, Batman's 4 spaces, or Killer Croc is giant and takes up 4 spaces when he only takes up 1 physical space. So that's not too bad. He also has Flying, which lets him get over holes and stuff easier. So he has Terror in the Sky. Man-Bat can activate more than once per turn. May not combine his action with additional figure activations. So as to say, you could get his double initiative, or you can activate him twice. So let's look at his abilities. He has Bite. When played, Man-Bat regains life equal to hits rolled on the dice on 2 battle dice and regain 1 focus. Slash. Batman treats double hits as triple hits when making a melee strike. And Swat. Man-Bat's melee strikes deal 1 stun token and moves the defending figure 1 space for each double hit he rolls. He's got Flyby. Man-Bat does not lose his remaining move points when he begins a new action. Grab. After moving, Man-Bat may place 1 enemy figure that he moved through an adjacent space. And Shriek. On this turn, either before or after moving, all enemy figures within 2 spaces of Man-Bat receive 1 stun token. When played, regain 1 focus. Alright, up next we have Mr. Freeze, who also has Immune. He has the Heart of Ice ability, which says Mr. Freeze rolls +1 battle dice when attacking or defending into or out of icy terrain. Does not stack, so you can't aim from one into the other. You may pay 1 focus to choose up to 2 spaces within 3 spaces of Mr. Freeze in his line of sight. Place an icy terrain token at each of those spaces. Pay 1 focus to choose up to 2 spaces within 3 spaces of him. Okay. And Mr. Freeze ignores the effects of slow terrain. Also another Arkham item, where Man-Bat, I didn't point out, was unaffiliated. So we have Cold Rush. This turn, Mr. Freeze may leap up to 6 spaces in no more than 2 straight lines, so he can jump one and then jump to another one. Afterwards, place an icy terrain token in each space he left or moved through. Freeze. Mr. Freeze's range strike does not weaken for the first 4 spaces. If the range strike hits, enemy figures receive a cold token and entangled 5. The Cold Shoulder. When played, discard any status tokens on Mr. Freeze. While active, enemy figures may not place status tokens on Mr. Freeze. Cold Logic. When played, regain 2 focus. Ice Barricade. When played, place the Ice Barricade token along the line between 4 spaces or all within 4 spaces Mr. Freeze. When discarded, remove the Ice Barricade from the map. And Nora, my love. When played, Mr. Freeze regains life equal to the hits rolled on the battle dice, on 3 battle dice, of all villains players' focus. And where is Mr. Freeze? So he's a little odd because he doesn't have his glass helmet. But I kind of get it, because how do you have him on there? And make it so you can paint him. I know some people have found custom ways around that. I'm not that concerned about it myself. Up next, it looks like we're going to do Scarecrow. That's what I have next to my pile because it got mixed up, but that's fine. Arkham Asylum, he's also immune. Master of Fear. Enemies affected with the Fear Toxin treat Scarecrow as if he is obscuring terrain. In addition, Scarecrow rolls +1 battle dice when attacking or defending against figures with a status condition. So he's going to drop in Fear tokens, which, let's look that one up quick. Fear Toxin, gas. A figure may become infected with Fear Toxin by a number of Scarecrow's abilities. When this happens, the affected figure receives a Fear token, cripples heroes, and makes affected heroes fear the heroes. Alright, so player or AI controlled figure, suffer 1 minus move, attack, hit, and defense block can be removed. The bystanders can be removed by inoculate. Heroes may not attack bystanders, even if the bystanders attack them. Bystanders receive +1 attack. If cooperative, bystanders receive 2 actions and activate whenever a Henchman initiative card is drawn. They have the attack and melee type of the lowest health figure. Competitive, villains may control affected bystanders. This is going to make them try and attack. Alright, so we have Clouded by Fear. In addition to dealing wounds, Scarecrow's next range strike gives a defending figure and all enemy figures, including bystanders, adjacent 1 Fear token if it hits. Scythe Slash. Active Scarecrow may make melee strikes against figures in his line of sight up to 2 spaces away. Shroud. Choose up to 4 spaces within 3 spaces of Scarecrow and line of sight. Place smoke tokens on each of those spaces. When discarded, remove the smoke tokens. A Fear Dart. This turn, in addition to dealing wounds, Scarecrow's next range strike gives the target 1 Fear Toxic token if it hits. Feed on Your Fears. When played, Scarecrow regains life equal to the hits rolled on the battle dice, equal to the number of Fear Toxic tokens currently in play. Regain 2 focus. And God of Fear. After Scarecrow moves, place 1 Fear token on all non-friendly figures within 2 spaces of him. Alright, let's look at the Joker, the Clown Prince of Crime, who is also immune. Lots of immunity here. You may discard the remainder of your hand before drawing new cards at the end of your turn. When you do this, you may also choose to remove 1 of the discarded cards from the deck. One of the discarded cards from the deck for the rest of the battle. So kind of do a little bit of chaos. You may discard your remaining hands. You can basically like, I don't like what I have. You can get rid of everything. You can also remove one so you don't have to keep playing it. Another Arkham Asylum character, of course. Shocking, ain't it? When played, before the Joker moves, he deals three dice of unblockable wounds to an adjacent figure. That's not funny. When played, Joker regains life equal to the hits rolled on 2 battle dice. Where's the kaboom? This turn, after Joker moves, deals 6 dice of hits to an enemy. He has line of sight up to 4 spaces away. These hits may be defended as usual. Ha 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 ha. When played, remove all status tokens from the Joker, regain 1 focus. And this turn, Joker does not need to break away from enemy figures. Knock them dead. On this turn, after Joker moves, place a Smile X token on all enemy figures, including bystanders, in his line of sight within 2 spaces of him. And finally, you're all wet bats. On this turn, if the Joker's range strike hits, the target discards 1 gadget of your choice and may not go on the defensive this turn. When played, regain 1 focus. Alright, up next we have the Penguin, who's actually from Stonegate Penitentiary instead of Arkham. Probably because he's not, like, criminally insane, he's just a mob guy. So he has Emperor. Henchmen within 3 spaces of Penguin receive +1 defense. In addition, Penguin's range strikes do not weaken for the first 3 spaces and may be made against adjacent enemies. And I keep forgetting to show off these characters. I am terrible at this. Alright, well, let's pop his card down. We have Scarecrow. It's really cool with his fear bombs. We, of course, have the Joker, who has his gun with the flag. Big green smile. Flower on his chest. And we have the Penguin, who we're just looking at his cigar, his umbrella. Alright, so let's look at his cards. We have Cobblepot. One plague, Penguin regains life equal to 2 hits rolled on the battle dice, regain 1 focus. You can see a lot of these abilities do tend to repeat from character to character. But that's fine, because they wanted to make sure everyone, I think, generally had some way of healing, even for the villains. Get him, you imbeciles. Henchmen within 3 spaces of Penguin receive 1 attack. So he's kind of all about having henchmen. Try again, you fool. Will Penguin receive wounds from an attack, he can instead share the wounds amongst any friendly adjacent henchman figures. Defend yourself. Will active henchman figures within 3 spaces of Penguin gain +1 defense. I'm the Penguin. Well, active Penguin gains flying trait. However, he may not end his turn in a bottomless terrain. So he can fly, but he can't stay flying. Regain 1 focus. And move it, you buffoons. Henchmen within 3 spaces of Penguin may reroll their battle dice for free when attacking. Counts as a focus reroll. Up next, we have the Wriggler. Here's the Wriggler's mini. Again, they tried to make him look like them poses there. They got details, creases, stuff like that. It's kind of cool, but like he doesn't have like the question mark on a suit, kind of like Harley Quinn didn't have her diamonds. Little stuff you have to add, I guess. Alright, so he has Arkham Asylum. This one is easy. Once per turn, spend a focus to search through the villain deck for a card other than Regroup, add it to your hand, and shuffle the deck. That's actually a very interesting ability. You can pick out whatever you need. My intellect is unrivaled. When discarded, all enemy figures within 3 spaces of Wriggler lose 1 focus. When played, gain 1 focus. Riddle me this. While active, enemy figures may not perform special actions within 2 spaces of the Wriggler. And solve this. When played, Wriggler regains life equal to hits rolled on 2 battle dice. Regain 1 focus. Brain Drain. This turn, if Wriggler's next melee strike hits, in addition to dealing wounds, Wriggler may steal 1 focus from that figure. Escapologist. When played, remove all status tokens from Wriggler. Regain a focus. This turn, Wriggler does not need to break away from enemy figures. And his final one is Riddle Me That. Enemy figures rerolling any number of dice when attacking or defending against Wriggler must pay 1 additional focus to do so. Regain 1 focus. Alright, up next we have Two-Face. So this is the last of the leader villains before we get to the henchmen. Leave it to chance. At the start of his turn, Two-Face flips a coin. Scarred side, Two-Face rolls +1 battle die when attacking and defending. Unscarred side, Two-Face may make a free move action. So there's a special coin that you use for that. His Bring It Back. In this turn, in addition to dealing wounds, Two-Face's next range strike also places the enemy figure under fire if it hits. Flip for it, regain 1 focus, flip a coin twice. For each result, scarred side gains 2 life, or unscarred regains 1 life. Let's ask the coin. Will active flip a coin while this card is played? Henchmen figures within 3 spaces of Two-Face receive either 1 attack or 1 defense. Delivering Justice. Before Two-Face's next melee strike, flip a coin until an unscarred side is flipped. Two-Face rolls +1 battle die for every scarred side flipped. That could actually get pretty powerful. He's got Pistol Whip. This turn, in addition to dealing wounds, Two-Face's next melee strike deals 1 stun token to the defending figure if it hits. When played, regain 1 focus. And right between the eyes. When active, Two-Face's range strikes may also be made against adjacent enemy figures. He's got 4 range there, so that's pretty powerful. Alright, and then Two-Face's miniature is right there. And there's Two-Face's miniature. Got a little coin in his hand. Hard to see, but... Alright, so then the henchmen, we're going to have the Crusher. So here's our Crusher. But I also believe... Nope, I guess not. I thought we had different sculpts from them. Maybe that's in one of the, maybe the Kickstarter box. You get additional sculpts. Alright, anywho, there's the Crusher. He's got minion and henchmen. He's unaffiliated, so he'll work with whoever pays him the most money. Figures adjacent to each Crusher treat him as 2 figures when breaking away. In addition, when Crusher is defending, double hits count as blocks, so he's really hard to get away. He's a melee character, so he's going to get Rush. Crusher may only move in a straight line. Diagonal is allowed. This ability doesn't trigger for Crusher that is activated. This ability doesn't trigger for a Crusher that is activated with additional actions, so it only works if you're going to use his specific one. Tackle. Crusher may only make a single melee strike that moves the defending figure 1 space for each double hit he rolls. Crusher may then may move into each space the target leaves for free. So you can move right up on him. And Smash. It takes 2 blocks to cancel each hit from Crusher. This ability doesn't trigger for a Crusher that is activated with an additional action. Bash. Crusher's melee strikes deal 1 stun for each double hit rolled. Doesn't activate for additional actions. Crush. The Crusher treats double hits as triple hits when making melee strikes. And Hurl. The Crusher's melee strike moves the defending figure each 1 double hit he rolls. The ability does not trigger for a Crusher that is activated with additional actions. Then we're going to get the Enforcer. The little boxing guy. Enforcers treat double hits as triple hits when making a melee strike. So he's going to get Charge. So it's different here is all the Crushers only activated 1 person. This guy, he can activate up to 3 Enforcers with this ability. So Enforcers, but they also have a lot varying health. So it's 8 health versus 4 health. Plus a lot. So that makes a difference there too. Enforcers roll +1 battle die when making a melee strike if they move at least 2 spaces in a straight line before attacking. So if they can move 2 spaces, they can do extra damage. On guard, each Enforcer regains 1 life. Uppercut, the Enforcer may only make a single melee strike but may move 1 space for free before attacking. Regain 1 focus. Gang up, Enforcers roll +1 battle dice when making a melee strike if there's at least 1 other Enforcer adjacent to the defending figure. Get the jump on him. After any figure completes an action, you may discard this card from the queue to immediately have an Enforcer spend 2 wild actions. Run for it. This turn, Enforcers are not affected by rough and slow terrain. And then our final minion is the hired gun. Just got a Tommy gun there, smoking a cigar. Doesn't want to go back in his hole. Ping him down. Hired gun's range strikes do not weaken for the first 4 spaces. He only has 2 health. So, but they like to stay away from guys. So here we come. Regain 1 focus. Unload. Spend up to 3 focus. For each focus you spend, choose 1 hired gun. Then choose 1 enemy figure within 4 spaces of a hired gun and place them under fire. We're out of here. 1 activated hired gun may make an attack +2 range strike before moving. Advancing fire. Hired gun deals at least 2 wounds on an enemy figure. That figure is placed under fire. Excuse me. Be careful. After any figure completes an action, you may discard this card from the queue to immediately have a hired gun perform an attack with +3 range strike. And finally, a sniper. This turn, the hired gun may only make a single range strike, but may reroll that range strike for free. This counts as a focus reroll. When played, regain 1 focus. Alright, then the other 2 things we're going to have is we have 2 sets of time bombs. And if we flip them over, it's the same on either side. And they just explain how time bombs work. So, time bombs have 5 layers that may be cut, but only 1 is correct. If a time bomb ever runs out of ticks, the game is over. At the end of each round, time bomb ticks down. To make matters worse, when an incorrect layer is cut, it also ticks down. Each time the time bomb ticks down, discard a tick token. So you have these little tokens, represent the time bomb on the map. And then setting up the bomb. Shuffle and place the layer tokens face down on the wire spots marked on the bomb. Place the number of ticks specified in the battle description onto the countdown space on the center of the bomb sheet. So let's flip one over and look at what that says. So you're going to place the 5 different connecting wires, and you're going to put number of tick counters that you get. So like one could be 5, one could be 3 ticks, just depending on how bad this bomb is. Investigating a bomb. When adjacent to a time bomb, figures may perform an investigate special action to inspect the wire token for success or fail. There is no tick down penalty when performing an investigate action. So basically you can spend a turn like trying to decide if that's one you think you need to do, and then you just kind of flip it over and see if it is or not. Then while adjacent, a figure may perform a defuse bomb special action to cut a wire token. If successful, bomb is defused. If failed, the bomb ticks down, remove 1 token. So you can either gamble and just try and defuse it and cut a wire, see what happens, or you can spend time investigating it, but it's whether you have the extra moves or the extra time to do that. Alright, now we're going to look at the AI sides for all these characters. So we're going to go back through, starting with Catwoman. She has ahead of the game. Catwoman's initiative card is not shuffled into the deck. Instead, once the deck is shuffled, it is placed on top. Catwoman receives hit +1 when making melee strikes against adjacent figures. If she can't reach optimal strike range after making a move action, her range attribute changes to 2 for the rest of her turn. The Catwoman's attack, roll 1 battle die. If the result is a block, Catwoman evades this attack. So she gets basically an extra helpful evade. She gets +1 hit when making damage. And if she's not within range of punching someone after she moves, she gets 2 range instead. So she can actually try and attack for up to 2 range. So she's going to try and hit you no matter what. We got Isis. So if Isis activates when Catwoman's initiative card is drawn, she can only make move actions, does not need to break away, attempts to move on her figure rather than adjacent to them. Cannot be attacked or attacked. Cannot attack or be attacked. Enemy figures sharing a space receive -1 hit, -1 defense. So same as all our other ones. Harley Quinn. So, well, Harley has no friendly figures adjacent to her. The friendly figure is within 2 to 3 spaces. Okay, well, Harley has no friendly figures adjacent to her. If a friendly figure within 2 to 3 spaces of her is attacked, she moves to an empty space adjacent to that figure, ignoring all breakaway. Okay, so she jumps over and helps people. If a friendly figure is attacked while adjacent to Harley, that strike is redirected to her instead. Each time Harley is attacked after wounds are dealt, she immediately receives 1 action and activates. So what I am checking quick, because I haven't seen this before, is she just has a number there. So usually, like it says, AI villain can melee attack may only attack figures adjacent to them. AI villains have the number of their attack range attribute may attack figures up to that many spaces away before suffering penalty. They have a line of sight. Okay, so that's the difference. In the other Batman, or in the Turtles game, they just had a melee spot, which they did your dice, but then if they were within, then it just reduced regardless. Here they actually just get a specified number, so that's kind of interesting. So here we have Man-Bat, Terror in the Sky, has 2 cards in the initiative deck and does not share line of sight with other villains. So that means if he sees Batman or Robin, he doesn't inform the other characters. Otherwise, normally everyone's unaware until somebody sees them, then they kind of like walk to each other. Man-Bat doesn't care. Well, Man-Bat's life is above 8 enemy figures considered Man-Bat to be on being elevated terrain, so he's flying. At the end of his turn, every enemy figure that has suffered a wound from Man-Bat moves directly away from him in a straight line, the number of wounds received. Mr. Freeze. At the end of his turn, place an icy terrain token under each enemy figure Mr. Freeze attack. If the defending figure is already on icy terrain, they receive a cold token instead. If Mr. Freeze deals 2 wounds to an enemy figure during his turn, that figure receives 1 stun token. If that figure has a cold token, they are entangled 4 instead. Mr. Freeze ignores the effect of all slow terrain. Alright, so we have a bunch of cold tokens. I just want to recheck what that does. When a figure receives 1 cold token, their move is reduced by 1. Remove the cold token at the end of the next turn. Alright, so that's not so terrible. Scarecrow, Master of Fear. At the start and end of his turn, all adjacent enemies, including bystanders, receive a Fear Toxic token. Scarecrow may make melee strikes against figures up to 2 spaces away. However, melee strikes cannot be made through enemy figures. Enemy figures consider Scarecrow to be obscuring terrain when making range strikes against him, and they are also affected if they are affected by Fear Toxin. Joker, the Clone Prince of Crime. At the start of turn, all enemy figures within 2 spaces of the Joker and in line of sight roll 1 battle dice. If the result is a hit, that figure loses 1 focus. If it is a block, they receive a Smilex token. Double hit, nothing happens. If the Joker can't reach optimal strike range after making a move action, his range attribute changes to 5 for the rest of the turn. At the end of his turn, Joker infects all adjacent enemy figures, including bystanders, with Smilex. The Penguin Emperor. Henchmen figures within 2 spaces of Penguin receive 1 block. In addition, whenever Penguin attacked, all Henchmen figures within 3 spaces of him receive 1 action and activate. The Wriggler. This one is easy. Enemy figures within 4 spaces of Wriggler must spend 2 action dice to perform special actions instead of 1. In addition, Wriggler's attacks ignore bonuses to defend, including defend icons. Two-Face, leave it to chance. Two-Face flips a coin at the start of the round. Scarred side. Two-Face receives 1 hit plus 1 for the round. Or if it's unscarred, he receives block plus 1 for the round. If Two-Face makes 2 or more attack actions on his turn against a single enemy, that figure is now under fire. Two-Face may not put adjacent figures under fire. She has to be at least a distance. Alright, then we have the Henchmen. We have Crusher, huge Henchman. Each figure treats Crusher as 2 figures when breaking away. If Crusher's melee strikes deal at least 2 wounds, the defending figure receives a stun. Enforcer, ready for action, receive 1 action, activate when any other Henchman initiative is drawn. And Hired Gun, pin them down. If a Hired Gun makes 2 attack actions on their turn against a single enemy, they are now under fire. Hired Guns may not put adjacent figures under fire. This is under fire. Place a firing token on the attacking figure and a matching under fire token on the defending figure. The defending figure may not move towards the attacker, and if they end their turn under fire, their life is instantly reduced to 0. Alright. So that is what we have for Batman the Animated Series, Shadows of the Bat, the base game. So you get your basic heroes, Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Gordon, Catwoman, I guess. You get your main characters. So check out the other videos I'll do, which will have the Arkham Asylum box set, which has a bunch more of the classic villains, plus some weirdly obscure ones from the show. As well as we're going to have the all-in box set, which is 3 mini expansions that they just shoved into 1 box. I don't know if that hits retail, if it's going to still be 3 small boxes, or if it's going to come in just one big box and they just change their mind to only ship it that way. So when I go over that, I'll kind of review it as the three separate sets, just in case. And then there's, of course, all the Kickstarter stretch goal and exclusives, which add a bunch more extra characters, and other stuff like that. So check back the other videos. See you guys there. Bye.